The beginning of the story shows a woman named Jin Hyung who works as an employee at the weather forecast office. Hyung has a boyfriend named Hankajin, who has been in a relationship for 10 years, and currently they are planning to get married next month, while elsewhere a man named Lizawo who also works at the weather forecast office. At that time he was picking up his girlfriend named Yujin. At that time Hyung who was about to go to the office, suddenly she got a call from her coworker named Seho, who informed her that there might be hail today, so Seho also asked Hyung to report this to their team leader named Mr. Choi. But Hyung refused, because based on their analysis data the possibility of hail on this day was very small, but soon the hail really happened, so that it made the situation in the city chaotic and caused a lot of losses. Mr. Choi, who felt guilty for being negligent, now he decided to make a report and was willing to face the press conference, but unexpectedly Mr. Choi suddenly had a heart attack which made him have to be rushed to the hospital, so Hyung was appointed to replace Mr. Choi's position to attend the press conference. After the press conference, Mr. Bongsan is the head of the office in the weather forecast. Then he also appointed Hyung to replace Mr. Choi's position temporarily. He did it because Mr. Choi could not enter the office for 2 weeks due to his heart disease, although Hyung objected because soon she would have a wedding, but Hyung had no other choice, so she was forced to accept her boss's request. One day, Bongsan held an online meeting, along with the central station and several other regional weather forecast offices. He did it just to discuss today's weather forecast. At that time Siwo then reported that today there would be heavy rain in the capital area based on existing data and also the results of his own analysis, but the head of the Gangwon regional weather forecast named Dohan disagreed with the results of Siva's analysis, because according to his analysis heavy rain would not fall today, so it made Siwo and Dohan argue with each other.
컴퓨터가 내놓는 수치 모델대로 예보하면 되지. 예보는 확률입니다. 기상의 기본은 가변성이죠.
But because the percentage of rainfall put forward by Siwo was too small, Hyung then decided to monitor the situation in the next hour, so that it also made Siwo disappointed because previously Siwo was the one who had predicted hail yesterday. But Siwo, who could not delay any longer, then he contacted Seho and asked him to immediately give a weather warning. Seho, who believed in the prediction of Siwo, then immediately issued a heavy rain warning in the capital area, and he did so without the approval of the Central Weather Forecast Office, so that it made Hyung very angry and she immediately reprimanded Seho. But Seho then explained that he had more confidence in Siwo, because his prediction of hail yesterday had been proven. Hearing that Hyung, who still could not accept, then she went to Siwo to his office. There Hyung immediately scolded Siwo for having the courage to make a statement without her consent, but shortly thereafter the rain suddenly fell according to the prediction of Siwo, so that it made Hyung feel very embarrassed and immediately left the place. When she was about to go home, Hyung first called Ki-jun to ask about their wedding preparations, but Ki-jun could not be contacted, so Hyung decided to go to Ki-jun's apartment. When she arrived there, Hyung was immediately heartbroken when she saw her future husband, who was enjoying making out with a woman, which turned out to be Yujin. Ki-jun, who was aware of Hyung's presence, then he immediately chased her, but Hyung, who had already broken heart, finally decided to cancel their marriage, and even worse, Ki-jun agreed to it without doing the slightest defense. While elsewhere, Yujin, who came to Siva's apartment, suddenly decided to end their relationship, so it made Siwo very surprised, but Siwo could not do anything because it was Yujin's wish. In short, 2 months have passed. Hyung was seen going out with Mr. Choi. At that time Mr. Choi also informed that he had resigned from the office, because his condition was getting weaker and it was not possible to keep working, so that it also made Hyung get a promotion to replace his position Mr. Choi, and Hyung, who had received the promotion, finally he has officially become the head of the main division. Meanwhile, news about the breakup of Hyung and Ki-jun's relationship is now a hot topic of conversation in her office, especially after breaking up Ki-jun even deliberately married his mistress. After returning from work, Hyung, who found out that several items in her apartment had been taken by Ki-jun, made herself feel angry and immediately went to see her ex-boyfriend. There Ki-jun then explained that he deliberately took several items in her apartment, because he felt that the apartment was bought using both of their money, and even Ki-jun offered to sell the apartment and share the proceeds from the sale, so that made Hyung silent and could not understand the behavior carried out by Ki-jun.
반반으로 산 건데 시세를 확인해 보니까 그 사기람한테 처분하기보다는 그런 편이 나을 것 같아서 들어간 거 빼주고 내가 인수하는 걸로.
The next day Siwo, who was about to go to the head office, he felt that the temperature there had become cold, because it turned out that the effective temperature had dropped to 2 degrees Celsius, At that time Siwo, who happened to meet Hyung, then informed that for the next 2 weeks he would work at the head office as a weather forecaster in the Team 2 main division, and not only Siwo, Do-han also turned out to be moved to work there along with them. At first the employees thought that Do-han would become a team leader in the Central Weather Forecasting Office, but it turned out that Do-han would only be a senior employee under Hyung's leadership, so that made them very surprised. Moments later, the entire main division team held a meeting to discuss the cause of the drastic drop in temperature, and after listening to the opinions of all parties, Hyung then decided that the incident was just an ordinary contemporary phenomenon, due to the cold wind from the northeast that strengthened for a moment, so inevitably Hyung had to explain it to the reporters at the press conference, which meant that Hyung would meet with Kijin as the press secretary for the head office. Not only that, she would also meet with Yujin, because Yujin was a senior journalist there. In the evening, Do-han returned home with gifts, but he did not get a good welcome from his daughter and wife, and even his wife scolded Do-han because Do-han did not tell her earlier about his move to the head office. Not only that, his daughter also looked awkward about Do-han's presence there, because it turned out that Do-han had never returned home for 14 years, and he was only concerned with his work. In the evening, Hyung, who could not sleep, then decided to go to the office early. There Hyung was seen investigating the exact cause of the cold temperature phenomenon that still occurs today, until shortly thereafter Siwo came and immediately greeted Hyung, who was busy working. Seeing a surprised Hyung, Siwo then explained that he often went to the office that early, and after that Siwo then helped Hyung in finding the cause of the cold temperature that was still happening. When there was an opportunity, Siwo then told Hyung if he had found out that the person who married her ex was Yujin, and since then the two of them looked more familiar, because they felt they had the same fate.
제 여친의 체간 새끼가 바로 한기준.
그렇게 찌질한 남자한테 차였다니까.
In the morning, Hyung suddenly got a call from her sister, who informed her that Kijin had sent a letter containing a profit-sharing agreement for the sale of Hyung's apartment. Hearing this, Hyung felt angry and immediately hit Kijin in front of everyone, and even Hyung revealed all of Kijin's annoying treatment while they were dating. After hearing Kijin's confession and considering their relationship for 10 years, Hyung finally decided to divide the proceeds from the sale of the apartment, by giving a share of 7% to Kijun, because if calculated, Kijun only deposited 5 million of the 20 million won installments for their apartment, because the down payment and others had been paid by Hyung. Hearing that Kijun felt humiliated in public, because at first he asked for an equal share. After work Siwo tried to entertain Hyung by inviting her to go drinking together. There they shared stories about the beginning of their relationship with their respective partners, and vilified each other when they broke up. After that Hyung and Siwo went home drunk, and accidentally did things they shouldn't have done. Long story short, the cold temperature that hit the city has now ended, and it also indicates that summer will soon arrive. In the evening Hyung's mother looks stressed when thinking about the fate of her children who feel messy, because the first daughter named Taeyoung must now become a widow after being divorced by her husband, while Hyung even cancelled her marriage after being cheated on by Kijun, so that it also made her family the subject of gossip by the neighbors, because they always compare the lives of her children with the lives of Hyung and Taeyoung. In another place, Kijun, who had just returned from work, felt very emotional when he saw the condition of his apartment, which was very messy, even though every morning Kijun always cleaned it, until shortly thereafter Yujin came home and saw Kijun who was cleaning the apartment, so that it made Yujin panic and immediately apologized to Kijun. At that time Yujin also reasoned that she didn't have time to clean the apartment because she was very busy working, and when Yujin was taking out the trash, she suddenly remembered the treatment of Siwo, who never let her hold the trash at all. While in another place, Siwo, who came to visit Hyung's apartment, now he also saw that there were a lot of items that would be sold by Hyung, so that made Siwo feel sorry and decided to help Hyung sell these items. After that, Siwo then ventured to ask about Hyung's feelings for him, because every time they were close, Siwo felt there was something different from Hyung. Hearing the question from Siwo, Hyung then answered that she actually liked Siwo, but Hyung was traumatized to date a man in the same office, because according to her experience, dating someone in the same office would only end in sadness, so Hyung did not want the previous incident to happen again, especially since her status is now the head of division and Siwo himself is only an ordinary employee, and it will cause many questions from other employees. But Siwo tried to convince Hyung, by saying that it would never happen again, because Siwo would always maintain their relationship. Hearing that, Hyung finally decided to accept Siva's love, with the condition that their relationship must be hidden from other employees. In the morning, a thick fog was seen enveloping the city, coupled with high particulate levels that caused visibility to be short. As a result, there was a successive accident on the highway involving 14 four-wheeled vehicles. The next day, Hyung and Siwo were seen carrying out their activities as usual. Of course, they deliberately did it to cover up the romantic relationship between the two of them.
이상한 사람이 혹시? 알아들었어요? 내가
아니요, 들었습니다.
지우도 갈보는 분위기야?
Meanwhile at home, Do-han tried to approach his daughter named Bomi so that the relationship between them could become familiar again, but Bomi even looked cold because she was not used to the presence of her father, as well as his wife who always acted rudely every time Do-han came home, so that it also made Do-han upset and asked them to be better to him. Hearing the request from her husband, the wife immediately revealed the events in the past, when Do-han disappeared for 14 years in order to prioritize his work, and even Do-han did not come when the wife gave birth and only returned when Bomi was 3 months old, and after that Do-han disappeared again without caring about the condition of his wife and child, so that made the wife considered a widow by their neighbors. In a different place, Hyung, who was about to return home, accidentally crossed paths with Yujin in an elevator. At that time, Yujin also ventured to interview Hyung regarding the thick fog that was happening, because Yujin really needed an opinion from Hyung for her article material. But when the article was published, Yujin instead demonized the weather forecasting office by writing that they deliberately did not give significant warnings when the fog occurred, so that it also made Hyung angry and immediately met Yujin to ask her for an explanation. But Yujin instead twisted the facts, saying that what she wrote was in accordance with what Hyung said yesterday, even though when interviewed Hyung never said that at all, until shortly thereafter Ki-jun came and immediately scolded Yujin. It was because he acted as a spokesman division of weather forecasts and now his name and division were tarnished as a result of the article. Long story short, the beginning of June has arrived, which indicates that it will enter summer, and even the weather is currently much hotter than the previous year, but strangely in other areas there are local rains that cause flooding due to an overflowing river. Hearing this, Siwo then revealed that the main cause was atmospheric instability, which strengthened along with the lowering of air levels at night. Meanwhile, Do-han and Hyung were seen going to the rainwater pumping base to see the search process for victims who were lost due to flooding. Fortunately, after a while of searching, the two victims were finally found safe, after which Hyung then invited Do-han to go to dinner together. There Do-han told Hyung about his family problems, which caused Do-han to decide to leave home after fighting with his wife.